So we were catching up on our DVR and we saw a show called How to Do Florida. What they do is they show you seldom seen parts in Florida, cool places to go, staycation source ideas and things like that. They did a segment on the Shellfish Trail in Florida. They talked to shrimpers, crabbers, and they did a segment on off-bottom oyster farming. At that point, my wife looked at me and said, "We could do that." And I said back to her, I said, "Are you serious?" And she said, "Yeah." I'm Reed Smith, co-founder, co-owner of Calusa Oyster Company, located in Lower Tampa Bay, Florida.
I fell in love with oysters when I lived in New Orleans. I was really good at skipping school and going and sitting by the Mississippi River and drinking beer and eating oyster po' boys. I knew that that was my favorite food at that point. I think a lot of it is nostalgia, but it really does come from sitting on the banks of the Mississippi River, drinking cold beer and eating oyster po' boys. My name is John Walker. I'm the chef and the owner of the Tide Seafood Market and Provisions in Safety Harbor, Florida. I've been in the business, the seafood business, restaurant business, all of my adult life.
We started researching what goes into an oyster farm. Where can an oyster farm be? What do you have to do to farm? Where can you farm? We found out oyster farms can't take place over existing seagrass beds. Seagrass is a habitat to keystone species like oysters and other small fish as they grow.
I learned how to cook in New Orleans, went to culinary school, and cooked around the Southeast for 10 plus years. When I got married, my wife and I decided that we wanted to have the family life and the good life. And so I got out of working in restaurants and I got into the seafood business, which I thought would be so much better, but probably not.
We've grown up in the saltwater all our life. I've fished, I've snorkeled, dove, I've done everything in the saltwater all our life. And so the thought of having a business where we're out in the water every day, an office with no walls, sun, rain, all the rest of that, it seemed like an obvious thing to jump into. So we poured through topographical maps, seagrass maps, to find out if there were any areas in Tampa Bay that would be good to farm. Our journey started there.
Oysters are a huge part of the Tides market. We have a very robust oyster program. Calusa oysters are delicious all by themselves. We have created a watermelon mignonette to complement the saltiness and the brininess of the Florida oysters. It's a great way to cut some of that salt, bring a little sweetness in, and some herbaceous notes. It's delicious, and we love it.